If a little bit of drama is what you need to spice up your day, buckle up, because I've got a doozy for you. It's about me facing off with my wife Jenny's lover right at his doorstep. Today, I'm facing the man my wife had an affair with. Here I am, camped out in my truck outside the cheater's house, ready to confront him. 3 months ago, I discovered their affair and confronted her. She cried, begged, and swore she was committed to us and fixing our broken marriage. We tried everything: therapy, heart-to-hearts, you name it. Jenny played her part well, assuring me she's all in and doesn't want to lose me. She even let me peek at her phone, making a big show of it, but warned me against snooping around. She claims she's been straight since then, but guess what? She's still sneaking around with him. I've been biding my time. Tomorrow's D-Day. The divorce papers are ready. But first, I need some FaceTime with Mr. Steal-Your-Girl to hear what tales Jenny's spun him. Despite her no-contact promise, the phone logs tell a different story. They're chatting daily, and she thinks she's slick deleting those texts. Too bad she forgot about the iPad. So here I am, parked out here, waiting to see who walks out first. If he heads off, I'll tail him to work and confront him there. If his wife steps out, I'm knocking on that door to get some answers. Well, it's a wrap. I'm shattered, a mess of emotions. Figured y'all would be dying for the dirt, so here's the full blast. Rewind to last evening. I got in from work, cooked up some grub, and we sat down, playing the part of the perfect little family. Jenny, with her usual disinterest, tossed a lazy, "How was your day?" I mumbled, "Same old," and left it at that. We ate, messed around with the kids, and got them to bed, the usual script. Jenny and I then plopped down to watch some TV. She was silent as a ghost for 2 whole hours. After our shows wrapped up, she abruptly announced, "I'm off to bed," and that was the end of it. No blow-up, no deep conversation, nothing. She disappeared and I lingered, lost in video games, barely slept a wink. Woke up feeling like garbage at 5 a.m. Today was the day. We had our marriage counseling at noon. I'd given our therapist the heads up about my plans, so as soon as we settled in, I didn't mince words. "I spoke with your affair partner yesterday," I informed her, watching her reaction closely. She tried to mask her surprise. "Yeah, I talked to him too." "Yeah, I know," I acknowledged. Confused, she asked, "Why would you meet him?" "Because I had some questions that needed answers and you weren't being truthful with me," I explained. Her curiosity piqued. "Oh yeah? Well, what did he tell you?" "He ratted you out completely," I stated, noting her mix of fear and defiance. "Means what exactly?" "He revealed everything about what you two have been doing. The sneaking out, the secret meetings, and those romantic calls full of sweet talk. He laid everything bare." Shocked, she whispered, "He disclosed all that?" "Yes, every single detail," I confirmed. I recounted all the evidence I had, not missing a beat. Jenny's face crumbled. She bawled her eyes out. It was clear as day. Her sweet talk didn't match her sneaky steps. "I'm done," I declared resolutely. "What do you mean, done?" she gasped between sobs as I slid the divorce papers across. She snatched them like they were on fire, eyes wide, turning to our therapist pleading, "How can I fix this? I don't want to split. I want us, our life. I need to stay." The therapist interjected, "If your actions and your words tell different stories, we have to trust the actions. They reveal the truth." The session was emotionally charged but outwardly calm. I expressed my utter betrayal, how she thought she could fool me forever. Jenny broke down, realizing her charade was over. I announced the funds were frozen. She could scrape together whatever was left for a lawyer. "You need to find a new place to crash. Our home isn't it," I declared, my voice unwavering. There would be no second chances. As we wrapped up, her sobs intensified. She reached for my hand, a last-ditch effort to sway me. I pulled away sharply, my decision firm. "It's over," I stated coldly. She collapsed, sobbing on the floor. I left her there, her cries echoing behind me as I exited the therapist's office and drove away. I rang up the affair partner's wife, leaving a message. "Please, we need to talk urgently. Call me as soon as you can." Then I dialed my lawyer to push forward with the divorce papers, but told her to hold off on the restraining order unless things turned sour. Jenny bombarded my phone with calls and texts while I was on the road. I ignored them all, letting each one drift into voicemail, unattended. A hollow feeling gnawed at me as I drove to her folks' place. Just before I reached their doorstep, the affair partner's wife called back. Turns out he hadn't spilled a word to her. I was direct. "We need to meet, face to face. How about in an hour?" She agreed, and we picked a spot to meet. Stepping into Jenny's parents' home, the air thickened with the weight of my news. Her mother broke down crying the moment I began. Her father, a tough nut, just sat there, his expression unreadable. "I loved your daughter deeply and tried everything to salvage what we had. But I can't watch idly as she betrays me," I confessed. The room trembled under the gravity of the situation. "I'm not here to badmouth Jenny, but you deserve the truth about our split," I continued. "I don't expect your support in all this, though she's going to need you now more than ever, especially for the kids." I stressed the importance of a stable environment for our children. "If she can't provide a suitable home, I don't want them living in dire straits. You might have to help her out financially." Their faces were a mix of shock and sorrow. "I cherish the bond we've had," I told them, emotion lining my words. After a handshake with her father and a heartfelt hug from her mom, I left, my heart heavy but certain. I sit alone in my truck at our agreed meeting spot, the weight of impending confrontation heavy on my shoulders. The air is thick with tension as I watch for her car, rehearsing the words that will shatter her world. Today, I'm not just sharing a betrayal. I'm revealing a fracture in her life that can never be fully mended. I've prepared myself to offer support, because no one should face such heartbreak alone. As I wait, the minutes stretch into an eternity, each second ticking by with the dull ache of my own wounded heart. Finally, she arrives, her face etched with a cautious smile that doesn't quite mask the fear in her eyes. As she sits beside me, the space between us fills with the unsaid, the air thick with the tension of what's to come. I take a deep breath and speak the words that will change everything. "Jenny and your husband have been entangled in an affair." The impact is immediate and visceral. Tears spring to her eyes, her face crumpling as the reality of betrayal sinks in. My voice trembles as I continue, revealing the depth of the deceit. "This has been going on for 3 months. Anger flares in her eyes, her voice sharp and wounded. 3 months? Why wait so long to tell me?" I explain the painful journey. My discovery, our confrontations, the empty promises of counseling, and the ongoing deception. Each word I speak lays bare the stark truth of our shared pain. The emotional toll is palpable, and I pause, fighting back tears of my own. It feels cruel to unfold such misery, spreading the ruinous truth of an affair that has torn our lives apart. She was never meant to bear this pain. Tentatively, I offer to show her the video, the evidence of her husband's confessions. Initially hesitant, she braces for the worst, imagining a more sordid revelation. I quickly clarify, and with a resigned nod, she agrees to see it. The video plays, each apology and admission from her husband slicing through the silence like a knife. With every word, her despair deepens, her face a portrait of grief and betrayal. As the screen goes dark, I offer my deepest apologies for being the messenger of such devastation. She looks at me, eyes filled with tears, a wordless thank you for my honesty in the midst of chaos. As we part ways, a hug encapsulates our shared sorrow, an acknowledgement of the pain and the long road to healing that lies ahead. I drive away, the echo of our conversation haunting me. What the future holds for her, for me, remains uncertain, but I am committed to supporting her through the aftermath. The drive home is a blur, my mind reeling from the day's revelations and the heavy burden of truth I've had to bear. The streetlights flicker overhead, casting long shadows as I navigate the quiet streets, a solemn reminder of the darkness that now envelops our lives. As I pull into my driveway, I brace myself for what comes next, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead, armed with the resolve to protect my children and mend what remains of our broken family. As I pulled into the driveway, the incessant buzzing of my phone mirrored the chaos that awaited. Jenny hadn't been home yet, but I knew confrontation was inevitable. The moment my car came into view, there she was, a smoldering figure in the waning light, her fury palpable even from a distance. Her outburst shattered the silence as I parked. "You spineless rat! You told my parents?" Her voice was venomous, charged with betrayal and scorn. Without a word, I activated the recording on my phone, securing it discreetly in my shirt pocket to capture the forthcoming storm. I stepped out, meeting her rage with a calm I barely felt. Yes, I told them. They deserved the truth about why their daughter's marriage fell apart. I spared no details because they need to support you, as they should. Her anger quickly dissolved into manipulative tears, her tactics shifting as she grasped the gravity of the situation. "What can I possibly do to fix this, huh? Tell me!" she cried, her voice laced with a bitter sarcasm. I listened, stone-faced, as she oscillated between anger and feigned remorse. When she exhausted her repertoire, I cut through the theatrics. "Everything that needed to be said was laid out at the therapist's office. There's nothing left to discuss." Her desperation peaked. "You can't just throw me out! You can't keep me from my kids!" she screamed, her voice cracking under the strain. "I'm not keeping you from them," I replied firmly, my patience fraying. "But right now it's best they aren't exposed to this." I gestured vaguely at the chaos she embodied. Her tears were relentless now, a torrent of emotion that nearly masked her underlying selfishness. Yet, a part of me, the part that remembered the love we once shared, felt a profound ache at her disarray. Reluctantly, I stepped forward, offering a consoling embrace. "I truly am sorry it has come to this, but you made your choices," I whispered, the sadness in my voice mingling with the evening breeze. As she leaned in, seeking a kiss, a last plea through physical connection, I recoiled, the boundary between us as clear as the evening sky. "That's over," I declared coldly. She staggered back, her expression morphing into one of scorn. "You think you're so righteous? You're destroying everything!" With that, she stormed into the house, her sobs echoing off the walls as she packed her belongings. When she re-emerged, suitcase in tow, her face was twisted in a sneer. "I hope you're happy with your perfect little moral ground," she spat venomously. "I'm far from happy," I countered, the weight of our ending heavy in my chest. "I wanted a wife, a partner, not the deceitful stranger you've become." Her fury unfurled once more, a cascade of insults and curses as she struggled with the reality of her own making. But as she realized my decision was irrevocable, her rage turned to a spiteful quiet. She slammed the door with such force upon leaving that the impact sent a family portrait crashing to the ground, the glass shattering like the remnants of our life together. Left alone, I sat in the echoing silence, sipping the bitter drink, replaying the day's painful encounters. The video, this digital witness to her vitriol, was my safeguard, a necessary armor against the legal storms that might yet come. It was not just evidence, but a stark testament to how far we had fallen, from love and laughter to this desolate end. After school, I picked up the kids and brought them home, bearing the weight of our family's fractured reality. I had to explain why their mother wouldn't be home tonight. She needed to stay with Grandma and Grandpa for a bit. Their small faces were etched with confusion and sadness, a silence hanging between us that spoke volumes. We tried to keep the evening normal, games, dinner, laughter, all underpinned by a palpable strain. When it was time for bed, the house felt unnaturally quiet, a stark reminder of the gaping void she left behind. Alone, I sought refuge in the numbing embrace of whiskey, the clink of ice against the glass echoing in the stillness of our once joyful home. Last Friday's conversation with the affair partner's wife lingered in my mind. She's not leaving him. They're trying to mend their frayed bonds through counseling. They've decided to shield their children from the storm, a choice I once hoped to mirror. I respect her wish for no further contact, understanding all too well the fragile hope that love can be rebuilt from betrayal. In therapy, my wife's pleas for reconciliation echoed hollow against the backdrop of her continued deceit. She argued that they hadn't been intimate since the discovery, a feeble thread she clung to, asserting it was all just conversations for emotional support. But the lies, seamlessly woven into her narrative, were too numerous, too glib for me to ignore. Every word she spoke seemed drenched in deceit, making the chasm between us insurmountable. I've faced the painful reality that the woman I vowed to love has become a stranger to me, her words a labyrinth of manipulation I can no longer navigate. Explaining to our children the reality of our separation was perhaps the hardest thing I've ever done. Their understanding didn't ease the blow. Their world, too, was unraveling. Anger and sorrow clashed in their eyes, anger at her for her betrayal and at me for the ensuing separation. They grappled with the news, their innocence caught in the crossfire of adult mistakes. As they prepare for their first therapy session, I remained steadfast yet gentle, guiding them through their confusion and grief, teaching them that it's okay to feel, but not to let those feelings destroy the love that remains in our reshaped family. Jenny came back to the house Friday night, and for now we're stuck living together until we sort out who's moving out and when. Looks like we're gonna have to sell the house. With child support and alimony hanging over my head, keeping the house just isn't in the cards. Plus, the housing market's in the gutter. Nobody's buying, so we're holding off until spring, hoping for a better deal. These next 4 months can't pass fast enough. And Christmas? It's looking bleak. I can hardly muster the energy to put up decorations. Feels totally wrong celebrating anything right now, but I'll do it for the kids. They deserve as normal a Christmas as possible. I just gotta find the time and the will to pull that tree out of storage. Jenny's taken to the couch. Part of me wanted to be the good guy, give her the bed, but I just couldn't do it. I've even put a lock on our bedroom door, locking it each morning so she can't mess with my stuff. For now, she's shacked up in the guest room, living out of a suitcase. Petty? Maybe. But she walked out on me, and now I'm holding onto my bed, letting her tough it out on the couch. Things around here are calm. Too calm. She barely talks, and we're not fighting outright. What little we do talk about revolves around the kids, quick and to the point. But I can feel there's more brewing under the surface with her. It's always like that. Everything's surprisingly civil. The first week was tense, but we've found a sort of rhythm now. Gives me a bit of hope we can keep things smooth as we wrap this up, even after all she's done. But yeah, she seems upfront about everything now, and I'm hanging on to my decision to move forward, except for that one slip-up. Putting up the Christmas decorations turned out pretty great. The kids loved it, and we got into the whole holiday spirit with Christmas tunes and movies. Jenny helped out since she's still here. She managed the kids with the ornaments while I handled the lights outside. Afterwards, we all warmed up with hot cocoa and watched Christmas Vacation. I kept my distance, sitting away from Jenny, a stark change from past years when we'd have been curled up together. Just wasn't ready for that kind of closeness, not this year. The therapy sessions for the kids are progressing better than expected. Initially, it was just a bunch of formalities, filling out forms and easing into the discussions. Our presence seemed to make the kids hesitant, maybe even a bit wary. But by the second session, they started to open up more about their feelings. They expressed sadness, uncertainty, and made it clear they didn't want us splitting up or living apart. During this session, Jenny broke down crying, claiming she didn't want the divorce either. I was stunned, almost laughed out loud. Couldn't believe her nerve. I held back from saying something harsh. Instead, I simply agreed, more out of reflex than agreement. Later, we spoke privately with the therapist, who did not hold back with Jenny. She pointed out Jenny's manipulative tactics and stressed that if Jenny truly wanted to avoid divorce, she should have considered the consequences of her affair. It was refreshing to hear someone else say what I'd been thinking all along. That evening, Jenny apologized for her behavior in therapy, promising to consider her words more carefully, especially around the kids. It was a small consolation but appreciated. Meanwhile, work keeps me busy, and the Christmas preparations at home are going smoothly. Now, about that slip-up after decorating the house. Yes, Jenny and I ended up sleeping together. Let's rewind to the night we decorated for Christmas. It was a day filled with warmth and reminiscent joy. We watched movies and basked in a semblance of our old happiness. It felt eerily similar to the days before our lives had unraveled. After tucking the kids into bed, we settled down to watch her favorite Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life. The evening had been peppered with eggnog and brandy, and the combination of warm alcohol and warmer emotions clouded my judgment more than I realized. As we watched, she leaned over and kissed my neck softly. It was an intimate, familiar gesture that stirred old feelings. Before I knew it, we had given in to our impulses, reconnecting like we hadn't in months. I wish I could say I wasn't aware of the consequences, but that wasn't true. Despite the voice in my head cautioning me against it, I ignored it. The truth is, the connection felt right in the moment. However, the clarity of reality hit hard afterward. Lying there, the gravity of what had happened washed over me. I felt a surge of self-reproach. After all the betrayals, after all the strides I had made in moving forward, I had slipped back into old patterns. I reiterated to Jenny that this changed nothing between us. Our divorce was still on. She seemed to understand, but with Jenny, you never know. Additionally, an STD test was necessary given her recent history, though thankfully a pregnancy was not a concern due to a prior vasectomy. Reflecting on the incident, my frustration with myself was palpable. I had let my guard down disastrously. This lapse was a stark reminder of my imperfections and the complex journey of healing that lay ahead. I am resolved not to let such a slip occur again. But we decided to give our marriage another shot, which might surprise or disappoint some of you. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of therapy, a lot of tough conversations, and gradual forgiveness. Something shifted between us around March, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like we were truly communicating, not just going through the motions. Jenny confessed her fears and the emptiness she felt, which led her to seek something outside our marriage. I've had to let go of a lot of anger and control, placing my trust in my faith and in Jenny's promise to never betray me again. It's a day-to-day process, but I'm committed to moving forward for our family's sake. We're not fully healed, and maybe we never will be, but we're in a much better place than before, and for now, that's enough. I've always found solace in planning and dealing with details. It brings me comfort. Knowing how to respond if I ever suspect her of being unfaithful again fortifies me, helps me move past the pain. For a long time, her deceit consumed my thoughts, but now it's a rare flicker. It's been over a year since she last contacted or checked on her affair partner, a fact I'm sure of because she's allowed me full access to her phone, laptop, and social media. At first, I was drawn daily to scour through her messages, always questioning her interactions. Over time, my need to monitor her waned, and now I conduct random checks, though I haven't felt the need in months. Therapy has played a big role in this shift. I haven't spoken to her affair partner or his wife since last December, and frankly, I'm okay with that. Their lives, glimpsed occasionally on Facebook, which I've adjusted not to show her updates frequently, no longer concern me. We've drifted away from our old social circle, whose lifestyle of excessive partying and superficial values didn't align with the life we aspire to. Instead, we've embraced a new group of friends, ones focused on family and positive living, free from reckless habits. Our last New Year's with them was fulfilling, not marred by the aftermath of overindulgence, allowing us to start the year right, enjoying quality time with our kids. This past summer, we made the decision to pause the divorce proceedings initially set for spring. Deliberating over who keeps what revealed a mutual openness to reconcile, prompting us to halt the process. We've shared with our children that we're trying to overcome our challenges together, reinforcing that reconciliation is possible. In August, she moved back into our bedroom, a symbolic act where I removed the lock I had installed. This gesture marked a new chapter for us, one of healing and gradual recovery. Life isn't perfect, but it's getting better each day. This past Christmas, she shared just how remorseful she is for the turmoil she caused and reaffirmed her commitment to mending our trust and love daily. My love for her has deepened, more than I ever thought possible. Understanding how some couples weather such storms has become a reality for us. We've even planned a family vacation for this spring break, something the kids, and we are eagerly anticipating. Our sessions with the couples therapist continue weekly, alongside our separate therapy sessions, helping us maintain our progress and growth. Our counselor remarked on our resilience and dedication to healing the rifts in our marriage, something that once seemed almost insurmountable. I'd like to lay out clearly the steps we took towards recovery. While this overview might be broad, my intention is to highlight the concrete actions that helped us. We engaged deeply in both individual and couples therapy, which provided me with insights into my flaws as a man, a husband, and a father, and allowed me to regain my self-esteem that was shattered by the infidelity. Similarly, her therapy sessions addressed her own issues, aiding her in determining whether she truly wanted reconciliation. We committed wholly to the process, engaging in radical honesty. If I felt disturbed or uneasy, I expressed it directly, and she reciprocated. These weren't easy discussions, but they were necessary and became a foundation for our daily interactions. Each evening after the kids were asleep, we'd reflect on our day, discuss the next day's plans, and check in emotionally. This routine, initially challenging, has become a cherished part of our day. We also revisited the early days of our relationship by asking each other questions to rediscover who we've become over the years. Furthermore, we adopted a practice from a Christian guide on mending marriages post-affair, which included performing acts of service for each other, ranging from simple chores to more thoughtful gestures like planning dates or weekend getaways. These acts have been instrumental in rebuilding trust and love. I've learned to divert my attention from dwelling on past hurts to more positive activities, such as exercising or spending fun time with the kids, which helps prevent me from getting sucked back into negative spirals. Over time, I've found myself thinking less frequently about the betrayal, which has been liberating. I share this not to preach, as every relationship and circumstance is different. While I once doubted our future together, now I'm confident in our enduring bond. I hope our story can provide some guidance to others facing similar challenges.